아래다 어떻게지 아주 버렸으나 지금 몰람 자야지 몰람 자야 고시 버와 디네자 다 지금 지게 샘제 샹다기 랑랴 아니 지게 네 지스 대바라 소바다 균주제 발라 소바 디네기 메리탄 알라 소바 카레 제비냐 델리아 안파 코로말라바체 안파 지게 소바코미아다 안데스 안지게 뒤다 따도 아니 데슬랴 지게 가르소림 델리아 코로말라바체 아니 바 잠바다 니조 검투야게 검투야다 안델리아 수술야 가르체비나다 코로슬야 지금 류디 코로슬야 짐바 땅 심바 인자 다 코로슬야 강체비나 코로슬 라바레 코로슬 펜바다 안지 디기데 템바 용어 쇼스 비게도 삼다 해야지 먼저 데네게 지게 주로하다 그게.
Good evening. Last week we looked at these prayers of aspiration, or prayers of aspiration and dedication, where when we encounter challenging circumstances, whether a particular situation or from another person, whether it's because of things that they say to us or things that they do to us, or a situation that we find challenging, whatever it may be, may we respond with patience, a mind dominated by compassion, love, and wisdom, rather than responding with affliction such as anger. And do so, again, in whatever circumstance we encounter, whether others insult us, beat us, or kill us, or whether they laugh at us or mock us, whatever it may be, may we only respond in a skillful manner, with a mind undisturbed by this circumstance.
디마제 소수기린 소수기 달라 아니 소소리아 셴기 소소리아 통로도 안디 소유기리아 안지게 된다 가야 메비게 셈 아니 마기와 쇼세는 몰람제 된다 가야 메바 지기 제 코라서야 라서바 소소리 녀마기야 라서바데 데네게다 칭아야 제바 차라라서바 데네 마기와 쇼세제 온도시 몰람제 지 데네 자고레세 슈르와다 그냥. 달라 미네 남도야 가야 되면 마유식세 딜랍사로스 다 남도야 가야 마유식스 디셰사로스인데 제자디 된다데 가르스는 소소라 미시에 아니 녀모바다 나게다 차도라서 바다 뒤지 마게워쇼 되메세 디로와 된다미 별로디 나면 마게워쇼라로 바다 된다미 별로디 가르스는 디소로 바다 디소 마게워쇼스 된다.
We concluded with the final two lines in the 15th verse, which is the start of a new outline here, which comes down to when others directly encounter us or even call us to mind, may only benefit follow for them. May this encounter with us, direct or indirect, may not be purposeless, but only bring benefit.
달라 미네 강다기 초함 대비 셈중위 데니 다도 대다기 등근주변 귤귤지익세데.
Tonight we continue the 16th verse, which is the same outline as those last two lines from the 15th. If in those who see or think of me, minds of trust or even anger arise, may all these always become causes that benefit and fulfill their every aim.
지게 달라미네 강다기에서도 소소리아 미세 샹다기 강다세 미샹다세 우르와나 제세속이 소소리아 미세 아니 콘돌라바이나 아니 콘돌라바 안 소소리아 안지 가브리엘로 콘라 가브리엘이아 소소리아 지아보레스 데베케바 용루와 진데게 콘돌라바 콘르케베나다 다디나 소소리아 데베케비 셈간에 조비나 데 차사 아니 데니 뒤다도 다기 대다기 semya khronse 대다기 내갑다 되 타르그 된 주비기 gyurgyurwa sho sete molam jairwada shigaonde.
As one sees, this ties in very closely with those formative lines. The meaning of these 4 lines comes to this. If whomever encounters us, again, directly or indirectly, whatever arises in their mind, whether it's wholesome or unwholesome, may all these potential responses always become causes that benefit and fulfill their every aim.
Jisa Shandagi Sidida, Dala Sin Sosorache, and the Mini Sidu, Mikin de la Dala Tane, and Tahan Suri Mishandagi Suling Ransul Tacho Korolabaina, Denegi, Condro Dele, Dela Dene, and Garso Korongi, Negapta Tardu, de Gun Druber Shaw, says Monam Jachagua. Dina Shinda, Toas, the Condro Jibum, but Dinal Shuliada, Condro La Nayala Sobatan, and the Chike Tado La Sobadenigi, Yomu, but some of the Shazayungua, on this Shazan, Deniki, Geva in a Sosola Miche, Condro Geva in a Sosola Mine, Nala Michi, Mishandagi, and the Chikoranzula Naya Geva in a Tado Geva in a, and Chiki Nube Samba Geva in a, Deso, and the Chiki Denigi, Gengi, Korongi, Digi, Dungun to Korongi, that Digi to be in Gurgu Shaw, said Molam Jawaresero.
The prayer that, again, that's been expressed in this verse is, when, in whatever manner I have contact with others, again, whether it's directly, such as in their presence, or they hear my voice, see me, or indirectly, that we're not together, but they I rise in their mind. And whatever response response arises in their mind, whether it is a wholesome mind, such as trust or faith in me, or an unwholesome mind, an afflicted mind, such as jealousy, competitiveness, pride, or anger, whatever there arises in their mind towards me, may that only become a cause that benefits them both in terms of their temporary happiness, as well as leading to their ultimate happiness. So no matter how when I encounter someone directly or indirectly, no matter what they think of me, whether it's wholesome or whether they are arrogant, looking down on me, or competitive towards me, however it may be, may my response only benefit them.
Devi Sim Sitera, Sosola Mija, Shandaki, Sosolia, Deva Chibi, Consukula, Shandakula, Deva Rush Kevin, Devi Sims, Dimibigata, Sosorana, Sosola Mini, Shengi, Ranlia, Guba, Gushepkiata, Gubakiata, Deva Kiata, Susuki, Narazuki, Kevacheva de la Chesukina Kiala Sobak, Sosola Mini, Consukula, give you some local Kevin, Deva Losoba, give you some local Kevin, Tizuchasa, and then, Negabdan Tardu, Sanju go on to be Gurgu Shaw, said Molam Jade Chagurwada, David Sim said.
So one encounters someone, and from the interaction, you can see they're responding to you in a wholesome manner. Perhaps a mind of faith has arisen within them, or trust, as is translated, or they show respect towards you. So any kind of wholesome mind towards you. Here are the prayers that I may respond by rejoicing in the virtue that has arisen in their mind, and dedicate the virtue that I'm now creating by rejoicing to the fulfillment of both their temporary wishes, as well as leading towards their attainment of ultimate happiness of enlightenment.
And Dinye Dado said, Dinye said the Dagi Gangi Condro Am, David Simdiki Sura, Dinye Dado said, Tangan Molangi, Deso Condram, Deva Jeva Diki Chasa, Gabrielia, and the Negaptan, Dikita, Tardu, Diki to be Gurgu Shaw Savas, Mahimbachi, do that Dado, Gidi in there. That Condro Gidi, Dala, Mijo, Condro Kazekeva, Gidi Kevin, that Deva Gidi Kevin, do Dado, this Gidi Kevin, this do Dado, and Ya, and Tarvata Tamji Kimbe, go on to Yagi, Negap, Tada Mu, go on to Yada, Tarduk and Tarvata. Tamji Kimbo go on to be Gurgu Shaw said the Dinye Dado, send the two Dados or Malam Jadi, Guaticasne, Gabrielia, the Conraja, that Deva Kennedy, and it Tarva Dungun to be Gurgu, Gabriel Kena, Majua, my member said, Tutor Dado, Gedi Kevin as Dados in gidi gebe ine so da konro gidi dala mi konro gidi gebsana gidi gebe na konro dida dengö tu ke nyagap ta hadu gi digi tu bi gyurkyu wa sho ala mi ne deba da la so pa gidi gebe ine di deba di and korongi tarba nyagap dewa da tarba tamji ki mo ko ban tu bi gyurkyu wa sho sa ji do chi ne dinye da do sa di disure.
And should their response to me, directly or indirectly, be unwholesome, for example, should anger arise, despite this being an affliction arising within them, may this too somehow become a cause that leads to their happiness, temporary and ultimate. And may I respond in a skillful manner to bring this about, no matter what the circumstance is. The circumstance that's leading to them acting to me in an afflicted manner. And may I do so always, no matter the circumstance or the strength of the affliction they're expressing at me. If it's just mild irritation or blind rage that is being expressed towards me, no matter what that is, may I respond in a way that brings them benefit and helps fulfill their every aim.
다 된군 시대다 된군 시대다 디뱅아 된디 수된에서 그런 거 왕랑설이야 샤다 코로 나간다 왕설이 대바지 현지 그런 게 된 미semje 그런 거 된다데 된군 시대 된군라도 된다 상마다 그러다 된다들 된다 야가 여러 두가 연구로 받아 샤다 녀바신의 셈 샤이 지샤리아 두어르신의 지금 녀바지 비 된다 주야 강아지야다 녀바지 기기 된다 주베나 düğünse diye yungur var. Ande yani düğünse diğerüyeki düğün diye koyuyor var. Size dinleyin zaten düğünse de tadı kapısı düğün çiki ngembi düğün membaşı ne devi işte sosu düğünde kar sosu koyuyor düğünde de karesini tanrı söylüyor koronla şanda mi koronzu güle koronzu koyuyor düğünde kare lamna düğünde di ne kap çedeliğine dikiyor ya. Lüdiyavada sembakiwaya kewa chimayna hada mi ko bon toya den dela dene ande chige digi yoya milisim gi digi yoya an dele digi ta ne gapse diso ta thadulya nyomo khora khamsum gi dunga thamche seche ande lusim ta do digi yoya dida denda dirwada on deso denda dikun digi duya ge da denda kun koron ko ya ge denda di 디기레 디디기 내가 비던다 이나라 타르도다 탐지기 먹고 토비야기 디기 주베게 유르교와쇼 세 된군세데 다디 된디 디기들 고고래.
The final line, that benefits and fulfill their every aim. So we can place emphasis on this word their, as in their every aim. The purpose here is not about getting on with others or working for their benefit so that we have a good life. But this is focused on, no matter how they interact with me, may the result be their benefit, both temporary and ultimate. So this there shows the very focus of this aspiration is on benefiting others. And the term every, this refers to the fulfillment of all their wishes, both minor as well as ones of great importance. Whatever it is, it's not for me to dismiss something as unimportant. If it's important to them, may their every wish be fulfilled. And so here the focus is on fulfilling the welfare of others, of expressing the wish, may they achieve every temporary happiness, both that they desire as well as that they don't explicitly think of. All physical and mental happiness may they experience, and in particular progress towards and attain the lasting stable happiness of liberation and enlightenment.
Deva Kevainata, Kiwi Samlos Kevinata, that Nyomo be Samlos Kevinata, that the Rana Miche, Shandagi Gula, Mala Miche, Nyomo be Samlos Kevinata, and the Kiwi Samlos Kevinata, the Chasa and Duda Namba Kondokitine, and the Korongi, Duhenda, Negaki Tigitan, Tarduk Tarbata Tamje Kibiki, 되기 군 차상 루비하게 규르규어 쇼 세디 나는 직 더르디신에 뒤순 거래.
The meaning then in brief here is every interaction that I have with others or others have with me, whether direct or indirect, so direct such as they see me or indirect that they think of me, whatever interaction I have with others, whether direct or indirect, and whatever arises in their mind as a result of that, whether wholesome and virtuous or unwholesome and non-virtuous, minds of trust or even anger, whatever arises in their mind, may, due to this interaction, again whether direct or indirect, may these interactions always lead to their fulfillment of all their wishes and hopes, the fulfillment of every benefit and aim of theirs, both on a temporary as well as on the ultimate level.
다 콘도스는 디바이스로 와다가 되바 콘도스는 디바레 디 제보 둥아지마데 디바인자 디바세디 둥아이 그 제보 둥아 중고요 봐서 그 디바레스로 와 제가 콘도스나 콘도디게 제보 둥아지마데 디기 열어 쉬어 말아 매반자 난다 콘도 그셰 나라미지 코도 콘도 사베나 그 콘도디 디기 그 코롱에 내갑다 타두기 디기 규규어 쇼세바나 So
this can sound a little strange when we see here in the second line it mentions afflictions, explicitly anger. How can something non-virtuous, such as anger, become a cause that leads to benefit and fulfill their every aim? This is contradictory. How can something non-virtuous lead to a happy result? Non-virtue, we know, leads to suffering. So this sounds a little contradictory.
지사 소설미지 코로나로 코로사바이나 코로나로 코로사이도 코로나 마기바시마도 대화양 디기양셔마 내갑기 디기양여마 탈두게 디기두도 해줘 매르바다 매반자 안다 되니기 매나다 가지고 코말미지 코로사나 코로디 다 코로나 내갑다 탈두게 디기두 유유와 쇼세바디 몰라라 잡에나 디 되나 주야 메딩에 다가서지 에 나지 디데 One may
think, what's the purpose of a prayer like this? Because if someone is angry at me, they're unhappy, they're already suffering, they're immediately suffering. Moreover, we know they're creating the causes for further suffering. This is certainly not helping them progress towards lasting happiness of enlightenment. So then, what's the point of a prayer such as this?
다 몰람 도시네 코로나데 기회 값소 디기 용아도 용말데 코로나 디기 규샤야라제도 용말데 이날 다디 몰람 도스가 오래서 그러다 몰람 도스가 오래서 다디네게 몰람 잡아나 다 소어데 가르스네 소수기 삼로 아주로 자야기 냠는 지역에 장돌 지역이 삼당고라 지난 파주를 미제 소수기 글로 자야기 지난 디네에서 샹다기 랑래 미제 콩로 사바이나 소수기 텔야 콩로 마사지 쇠보다 두치는 몰람 잡아이나 소수기 쇠보고미야 쇠벌리고로 받아 콩로 수 콩로 세리 파 콩로 마사와지 디제데 콜로 디기주기 규규와 쇼세 몰람 자디 콜이야 안지게 나주기라 쇠베 냠는 파 콩로 말아죠 쇠베 냠는 지금 거 되는 섬다데 안디마세 다 콜이야 콩로나마자 닌제다고 디니기 디기 규규와 쇼스메 몰람 자데 콜이야 강아마 쳐봐 쇼와 쇼스 데 콜 닌지 옴곰고로 와 닌지리 거로 와 제가 디니기 뭐서 디니기 몰람 자고를 숨고르데 디니기 몰람 자야데 된다 슈랑아지고 쇠베 냠는 티고 소수게 쇠베 냠는 파 추초와 제베네 파 렌리야 초와렌 마제 초와 녀버 마제바 단 추 녀버 기비 렌들이야 파 펜비 펜부 주야지 펜부 주야지 그 소수고 로리야 도스장 되니게 지 장도를 지어도 또 소수게 쇠베 냠는데 슈쳐줘야다 안 파졸이야 니콤베 니주콤베야디 슈쳐줘야 다디기 기엔제 도스트로야 어두스는 소수게 로 냠는데 야 누가 쳐줘야 차고로 받아
What is undeniably the case is that anger itself cannot lead to happiness. This is impossible. So then, how does a prayer such as this work? Well, as the person who makes the prayer, it has an impact on your mind. It aids one's own mental training, one's own mental development. By expressing a prayer like this with sincerity, when one encounters, for example, an angry person, or a person who's competitive or arrogant, whatever it may be, if a prayer like this has been made with sincerity, it will have an impact on you when encountering an afflicted person, and will help ensure that you do not respond in kind. You don't allow the generation of pride in response to arrogance, or your own anger in response to their anger. Rather, patience arises. Patience arises primarily from compassion, but also with wisdom. And this then enables, and patience will arise because in response to this aggressive person, because of this expression in this prayer of a wish for them to experience only happiness. So by generating a deep and sincere wish, no matter how others interact with me, may they only experience happiness. When someone acts towards you in an unkind manner, when this aspiration arises within you, you'll want the best for them. You'll want them to be happy. Therefore, generation of pride or anger in one's own mind will not come about. Rather, compassion will arise, not wanting them to suffer. In this way, one's mind will stay at peace. Moreover, one can use wisdom too will arise, enabling one to respond skillfully. So therefore, how a prayer like this brings about a wholesome result is on the direct impact it has on one's own mind, and the indirect impact that it has on others through one's own response, one's skillful response.
Yini kono koron digbare yini kono ki kinchene gewa yongha ji yongorwa kasen shenji sosolya kono sawana ngarazu gu sebo komya di pacho gu kono sawe di kinchene ngarazu gu sebo komya ko khapra yorba chisan di sebe nyamlen sebe gewa sa di pacho gu ran ya kono lang yo di digi kono kono de gewa mai ne kono digi kinchene ngarazu gu sebo komya ra gu di sebo de gewa cha gu ba chisan kono di gewa tuye gu gyulya jinliya dugudu wa da ga jele chisan shenji sosolya kono sa di konde tela tene soso sebo komyo di soso sebo komya ge jinji suje ba chena pacho konde sawa di konde digi che barwa chisan konde di koron gewa mai na yang koron ki jinji ne digi gewi taba tamji kempo gobo tutu gyu sna gyu ge go hapchi ragor wada.
So just said, and said correctly, that anger itself does not lead to happiness. It's impossible to do so. So this is true. But it's also correct that anger can lead to virtue. In this way, anger can lead to virtue. If someone is angry at you, in their mind, they are suffering. So the immediate result of their anger is they suffer. And moreover, they're accumulating non-virtue, which will result or ripen in further suffering for them. No doubt. But if you've trained your mind well, in dependence on their anger, compassion, patience will arise within you. And you accumulate extensive virtue. So their anger becomes a condition by which you accumulate virtue. So in this way, through the arisal of anger, that suffering being is creating the causes for further suffering. But the skillful practitioner, in dependence on the anger of that suffering being, is creating virtue.
Tadine is that Molam di Korongi, Aranzolmino, Konroki, Dini, Konrodi, Korongi digi to be a Negapna, Tartugi, Tarva Tamji Kimbo, want to be Gurgu, Molam Javirwa. She's not Dinig Molam Javi, Nubal Dine, Korongi, Konroki, Konrodi, Jinchen, Korongula, Gavasava, Yungurwada. Canis Yunguresan, Davo Korongi, Mila in the Konroki, Chelia. Contra the page, Norsha, Pesasha, Semikovici. Govicivana, Contra digi Chene, then Notri Baton, Delia, Jovaci, Jovadi, Gavachagarua. Chisnatati, Contra Kiwi, Jovaci, Tini, and Norsha sometimes. Then the Dipashayagi, the Ying Notrusha, then Dipasai, Pesasha, Dipashayagi, Gavatuaki, the Niki. Jekawatu Yunguru, or Denigi, that Jekawatu Yungu Paza, Denigo Condo Digi, Corongula, Condo Kiwi, Digi, Jinche, Corongula, Cal Bottom of Asayaki, Gohabragi, and Gua Yungurwata. She said, Denisa, the Nigmolam Jadu, Corongula, Condo Kidu, the new Condo Tea, and the Tarbat Negap, Digi, that Tarba, Tamjikimo, to be Gua Show, said Molam Jadu, Denigi, Molam Nubalet, and Corona Kiwi, and Alamsam. Gyobaje, and the Gyobati in a demons of Gyobaje, Gyobadele, Gebe King, Condro Divasasha, Divala Shatum Chiada, then ya, and the Jig, or that Tarvada Tamjiki, Denig Divala Shatum Jason, Maobana, then the Chigmes and be some died, then they go Sumi Semba, Leon, then it quote Nerab. Coron Samlane, Pash, some sheet, Nera Coron, simply Chayata, Maomba, Giovachima, Hada Muko to be Gusa to Guyoba, and then again some two sketches down the Denigi, Delatin and Tarvata Tamjikimo to Tova, Toby Gusta, South to Guyoba. Then is that again Delatin, Coron Lamba, Coron Lavi, Delatin, Corongula, and Jigga. Tarvata Tamjikimbo go on to be Gusa to Guyoba, and Giovachima Lada Muko want to be Gusa to Guyoba. She's a Negapti, Yunguyoba Inza, and Denigi, Yunguyoba is a Denigita, quantity give and the quantity, the Negap Tardu, Corongula, Tiki to be Gurgu shows and Molam Jadi, Jimzero Stitwada.
So that anger leads to suffering for that angry person. This is well established. Second point, the one that I've just made, is that anger can serve as the ripening condition for extensive virtue in the continuum of the patient person. So the angry person will accumulate extensive non-virtue, but the patient person, in dependence on that same anger, will generate extensive virtue. Now, a third way to understand this prayer, or a third level of meaning to this prayer, is that when someone is angry and expresses that anger to you, in dependence on their anger, you generate compassion and patience. And with your wisdom then, you respond in a skillful manner. That person, that angry person, perhaps not in the moment, but perhaps a little while later, will recognize their fault. Especially when they saw you respond with kindness, you respond in a skillful manner. Later, they will recognize the fault of their anger. And they'll see that anger was uncalled for, unskillful, and was unwarranted. That anger itself needs to be abandoned. Here the formerly angry person, who has now calmed down and being influenced by your skillful, compassionate response, generates regret for their behavior, wishing they could take back those words. This then leads them to make the determination. This angry expression of anger is not acceptable. I need to bring this to an end. I commit to bringing this to an end. And they generate in this way the opponent power of regret and of the promise to not repeat this again. And if they are a Buddhist practitioner, they will know then also to generate the other opponent powers, such as accumulation of virtue, to purify. And therefore, they will be able, independence, firstly on their anger, but secondly, independence on your compassionate and patient response. They will generate the four opponent powers, purify, and accumulate virtue themselves. And that particular situation where their anger and the condition of your response leads them to generate the four opponent powers, this becomes a cause that helps their progression to enlightenment. So in this way, anger is part of the chain that leads to, through your skillful response, that part's indispensable, that leads to them, despite that anger or because of that anger, generating causes that lead to enlightenment. So this then is the third level to understand this verse.
지상 코로 때 교회에 대해 코로사위 긴체네 코로산 디마서 교회에 바로 지상 코로기 코로사와인자 지상 코로사위 긴체네 코로스 게 디미스 교회에 주말에 교회에 주면도 아당이 디버사다 다시 하긴스베 디버샤좀 지야단 개와 두게 용거로 봐 지상 디네서 코로이 긴체네 코로교라 개와 두게기 용도와 용반자 다 내가 디기다 달바 탐지 김고 와도 규규규레디 용거로 봐 지내서 안디네 용구요 봐서 되네 두치네 말미죠 코르게베네 되네 코르디 코르규레 디기투비 내가 다 탈두기 디기투비 규규와 쇼세베 두치네 몰람 자유도 되네기 디기투 규개와사에게 끼도 규와 쇼사한테 송거다 끼인 잡아 쇼스.
So through this, then, hopefully, it becomes clear that there's great meaning to this aspiration, this prayer that Shantideva is expressing, where one makes the prayer that should even anger arise, may this always become causes that benefit and fulfill their every aim, so that when they generate afflictions, the examples anger, any affliction, may that affliction become a cause for them to regret that affliction. And there's clearly a direct relationship. In order to regret anger, it's that regret has a far greater strength when in relation to an actual incident. And therefore, this virtuous mind of regret arises. And with skill, all four opponent powers arise. And in this way, the afflicted person generates extensive merit. And in particular, in the context of the Dharma, may that merit lead to their eventual enlightenment. So for those who are Buddhist practitioners, when afflictions arise within themselves, if they're skilled, they will apply the four opponent powers, and that affliction becomes a cause that helps enable their attainment of enlightenment, but only because they are responding skillfully. So here we make the prayer, may beings do so. May they respond skillfully to their afflictions. May I be a condition that inspires them to respond skillfully, even to their own afflictions.
내가다 탈도 된건 두고 교교하셔서 몰란자야디 안된다 여바로 차기도와 지사디네기 삼마다네 업데가라 삼다네 콘레데 디기두에 교교하선 디기두에 교교에 가르스 교그레 안디 메네 교여기네 메네 몰람자네 가르판도 여레 다가스 제기 시기 선비기 되네 용시버로 지사디네자 다고 된다 배 야침부 여바래 다디서 두시네 삼다베네.
So without this understanding, this verse seems quite meaningless. It seems just really a bit silly. But hopefully it's clear now that for a skilled practitioner, afflictions such as anger can become causes for temporary and ultimate happiness within that same person who was afflicted. And the meaning of this prayer is, may I be a condition that helps even those who are afflicted to create virtue and achieve both their temporary happiness and in particular paths that lead to their own enlightenment.
안디네 원래야 Ganda Dala Kaseram, Shanda Nuba Jebam, Dishin Charga, Donya Rung, Tamje Janju Galen Jurus, at the end of Sumore.
Then the 17th verse. May whomever insults or blames or disparages me or does me some other harm all attain the great good fortune of enlightenment.
On the Ganda, Mishanda, Suinda Ganda, Mishandagi, Sosolia Dalas, Kaseram, Side Kalia, Mother Gunju Jada, Yoran Jin Gunju Kanabatu, Mosu Hans, Mosu Tujan, Yoran Dimino, Yoran Chichitigmin, Yoran Dujara Shasan, Gunja, Novikia Soba, to Cheva Inada, and then Shenda, Nova Chebam, Sidayanjik, Rangulula, Nobam, Rangul, Nojula, Nova Cheva Inada, and the Nigi, Jevaina, and Sigur, the Jevaina, and the Dina Shin, that Rang Dishin, Charga Donya Room, Sidu, that Musu, Mena, and Jablolia, Sosulia, and Katayala, and the Gunju, Munisama, Junshi, Gunju, Hala Soba, the Nechavina, the Nigi, and the Gasa, the Chasa, and the Garisos, and the Soyana, Janju Sim Gula Giagi. Bendigo, Sanji Chanchup said, Sanji Gobon Tubigi, and the Gawad and the Gua show, Gawad and the Gua shows. Yamlinchi, Gobrava shows, or the Sanji Gobon Toyagi, Chanchup said, Sanji Gobon, the Negaza did the Tamje, and the Sanji Gobon Toyagi, Yamlinchi, Gohot and Gobi over Rawa show, said.
Meaning of the 17th verse then in brief is, firstly, may whomever insults me. So this refers to those when anyone else or whomever is clear, it refers to whomever someone is, whether they're someone with power and influence or not, whomever they are, when they directly to my face insult me, criticize me, say I'm no good, and so forth. So to them, as well as those who behind my back blame me or disparage me or lie about me. So this also is verbal, or thirdly, do me some other harm, so harm my body, harm my possessions. Whomever this is, who harms me in any way, and the final line, may they all attain the great good fortune of enlightenment. So here what's being expressed is may they gain the opportunity to practice the Dharma, to cultivate it within, and fulfill the Dharma within them. In other words, achieve enlightenment.
And then I do some of those tangoes, and I some not Danangi, that some low Jandor Jedi and Sungorwa, Jezangada, Dala, Kaseram Sidi, Mishandachi, Sosolia, and also Bed Duchers, Jim in the Junju, Soslia Bejik, Duchevena, and Deliange, Koromalawache, Pa Koromalawache, and Pajik, Koromalawa, Sovocum Tuyata, Korlangbe, that Tesolia, Denigi. Nalia dus Kunchi, Midi, and only Tane, Coining Jeda, the Neza Coron, and Chige, Numo Pacha, the Chevapon, Sanjo Gobon, Toby, you, Janju Simla, so when Yamanchi, Coca show, Sebido Dusin, some Daji Dustin, Molam Jawores, or that Molam Jabis do that, Dusin also, that the Niki Cheva Ina said Molam Jagura, Danzo. She's not Danzo, Dusin Molam Jadu, the Niki, someone on Dus, Jangdora, Gedina Dus in Alia, with the Nicheva in a cat, also dancing, Ala Kunju, do Cheven, Pakon Malawa, Duskon, Janju Sanjigo, Janju Sanjigo want to be you, the Yamnichi or Coca Rava show, the Sanjigo want to be Coca Rava shows, Molam Jadu, Dus in the summer time, and it Mahobana. Then also she two in there, and Delia Lamsa, Koromalawache, and the Sevocum to Gorwata, Sevocum to Yata, and the Corolia, Nijicum to Yadi, Yungorwa. She's not the Mayoniel and Anzuki Dusin, Tambon, some Dusin, Molam Jangdo Chevin, some of the Jangdo Chedu, and Jang, then also two or two couple, Denichi Kohopching was two in there, Delia Sevocum to Yata. Della Nijicum to Yadi, Yungurwa. She said, Dineza, some of them do Jango, Jangor, Molam Jawores, the Nega Jangores, or the Molam Yane Yadus Chevaina, and they got assembly of computer Jangor Charogorwa.
Once again, this is a verse which serves the purpose to enable us to develop our mind, to train our mind. So here we recall both recall actual events and we can imagine new events. When others have insulted us directly to our face, they said rude things, disparaging things, criticized us, insulted us. And the aspiration is, may I not get angry. May I rather give rise to an understanding that this is a suffering being. And these words are just a mere expression of their afflictions which are tormenting them. May, when this happens again, may I recognize that. May I take their words merely as a reflection of their inner torment. And I pray that this suffering mother being before me, may they come under the gentle care and guidance of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And through this virtue that's arising in my mind, may I become a Bodhisattva and a Buddha. And through this connection that I have created or will create with them, may I be the one who can guide them to cultivate a path within and attain the lasting happiness of enlightenment. So in this way, we take verses such as these and use them to train our mind, to cultivate qualities within.
Dishi kasewa kai kisheba derwanda shandagi sosorang la lule diaba mala so nyoba cheba da sosugi gyunyo longjo la so ba choba da jomba la so ba denegi nyoba cheba inaya andesulya konromala soba desu denegi ngale nyoba chen kasa dege sanji ko bon tobige jashu sanji ko bon tobi nyamlenchi yego ko habra war shos denegi nyamlenchi to war shos sede malam jaene delia chesa denegi soba Sebo kumye yamlenda, dine molam jebanu lo chandu kabla, and ba koro malawa, nebes, nebigile, neva bajiva, koro malawa, chikunga, shalia, and jamni jukomiagi, dinico cobraviorva, diniza, dushin molam javore sedi, casu solo chayagit, to sumorva.
The second line in the Tibetans, our third line, does me some other harm. So this then is in relation to non-verbal harm, whether to our body or to our possessions. And the aspiration is the same. When someone harms me, physically or my possessions, may I not get angry. And here call to mind what has happened in the past, or imagine various events, and generate the determination. In such an instance, in such a situation, may I not grasp at my body or my possession, but rather, may my mind be dominated by compassion for the suffering being before me, seeing their expression of aggression or attachment as merely an expression of the afflictions that are tormenting them. And thereby, without grasping at my body or my possessions, may compassion alone arise within me for this suffering being. And through the power of compassion arising within me, may I now in the future lead this mother being to the attainment of enlightenment.
Dijin charga tonya rungsen charga tonya sungse da da charga se da katong ase ora katong rala tango sumena jablol pa so jamne anjik junshi gyumse oko de chebare ko pe duja ara se de denigi junshi de gyumse juma sheje ania azule gyunje sheba ina anji desogi ina denigi gasa de kilina ane jashis tamje denigi tamje sedoda dinade yang rangle ya katang ge ngoso tushine gyunje katang wala sobana shenye soso lule nyoba ja sang longjo ya nyoba che wala sobada ni membe da jablo 탐제 자주 관련해서 탐제 세대 탐제들 먹무셔로 봐 탐제 세대 가르고선 네 당보看무소랑来 카셀 세도아 무소 카당해 견제제 카당하라 소바다 데네 네가서 무소 랑글룰레 녀바다 랑기 아니 롱절레 녀바치 하라 소바 다디 무소메나 셴 얍레바 아니 바 안지게 소설이야 준 금전 준시제 주머시제 견제제 하라 소바 대수 차상 데네 간세 강사 간신메나 대차상에 산지고방 토비기 요 자주심 냠나자게냐 람냠레제 고급다 라워쇼세데 말음자디 도나니 시도하다
third line in the Tibetan, our second line. This refers to the meditation's precisely the same. So one recalls past events or imagines others speaking badly behind our back. Maybe they are telling lies about us, or they're falsely blaming us, or they're disparaging us in some way. And we respond in a similar manner, with a mind dominated by compassion, recognizing that they are talking this way as an expression of the afflictions that torment them so. When I become aware of what they've said, may I not be even disappointed in them, let alone upset or angry. Rather, may I only hold them closely in my heart. Then the final line, may all these people, no matter how they harm me, whether, as in the first line, by speaking directly to my face in an aggressive manner or in an insulting manner, or whether they are speaking badly behind me, behind my back, or they're harming my body or possessions, whomever they are, whatever they are doing, may they all attain the opportunity to practice the Dharma, to cultivate it within their minds, and attain full and complete enlightenment.
롱줄리아 녀비진 주베나다 랑이 잡로랴 아니 금제 주마시고 직 주마시제랑의 균주chen 주베나다 데설랴 데니 직소수기 직 여바이네 데설랴 직 파코로 말아와제 딱 쇠보금 안디야 콘슬랴 베 콘주야 강아세고 동안을 저거 인지 삼제 인지 검제 안델랴 콘차사 사유고 되비기 냠len지에게 고합라와쇼 가와데 템바쇼 다산 요가와 덴세드 산지 요코본트에 냠렌지비 튕긴 창와 가게나 대체 차상 창되바 냠렌지 요고 야버라와쇼 세드 도스몰람 야워레세 데니게 몰람 야야도 소소이 젠달에 디솔야 콘달랑고 말에 아니 세보금 kumku kondalang kyo chesang nganzu goyaji nganzu lo kondalang kyo mar kondalang di barwa chesang konda de ko sebe nyamle ko sebo ko tene samda de sebo ko myala soba da ani xialia de konzo de digi juya samda de konzo lu dunga jaya ge ningje ani digi juna sebe ki de jambala soba tene kom to yongoro du chena samno du chena molam ja wore ese sungor wa.
The meaning of this prayer that's being expressed here is that all others, whoever they are in society or in relationship to us, no matter how they may harm us, whether through speaking to us directly or behind our back, or harming us physically or our possessions, may we never respond in kind, but only with compassion. With patience arising in dependence on the compassion, may we generate thereby a determination to help them, either through prayers such as now, or through this connection, to help guide them to join us in our own journey to attain enlightenment. May these suffering beings, who are so tormented by their afflictions that they are acting in such self-destructive ways, may they require all the conditions required for their own spiritual development, including deep faith in the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So the purpose of this aspiration, what we want to achieve, is not to come under the influence of our afflictions, but rather, through the rise of compassion and patience, may we have a sincere wish to help those who are suffering, no matter how strong the torment of their afflictions are, or how strongly those afflictions are being expressed. May we only give rise to a sincere wish for their happiness and their freedom from such suffering.
Dinege lo duschene molam jadu lo jangu resi or dinero da anzo lamsa sosol gyunju che de lamsa pala de pal lamsa korla ji len lo ya chi sosol nebe gina lamsa pa korla ji len lo ya chi ngorwa dinege len lo edu ande chu nebe ji de pa nebe len je ba na sosol ya no korla da ande chue ne len charo korla sosugi da sosugi semdi gyo ta tu yo marwa dine inza chu nebe ji ba ka se chebe ne pa nebe len de le pas samba sambo cheche, yabo cheche bayina, 소수기 지게 소수야 녀모 가서 동아용야 유디 기교 말와 디레 안디메세 랑기 데니기 토네 안샹디야 안 파주기 녀바디기 게데 도투야데 용고로 받아 지게 데니게 소수기 잼비 토네 파시월 제바서 생기 콘트롤라서 받아 생기 뇌베선 받아 소수기 잼비 뜻기 시월 제바를 했으죠. 제사 상이 좀 내디게 녀모버 가서 저 뒤에 찾아 잼비 뜻기 두어리 했어지. 잠바 잼비 뜻기 두어리 했어. 소소 녀버기 왜나 스파 잼바지 고면도 잼비 뜻기 파주디 아니 가서 녀버기 매와 차르고 와. 제사 잼비 뜻기 세다. 안 돼서 상이 나와래시 상이 좀 내디게 뒤두와 세저로 뒤뒤에 제바세디 상이 뒤뒤에 제바데 마접지 뒤두요 말와 제선 상이 량아서 제바 중요한 상이 뒤뒤에 제바지로 와다 뒤두세데 뒤뒤 파 시월 제바로 와다 간에 시월 제데 마접지 시월 제바 말와 상이게 잠바곰 잠니지 곰지 띵이지 곰 잠베 곰여도 되는 거라시기 녀버기 되게 봐 시루고 와 제사디 잠베 또기 도와세 걸다
So what's been described here is perhaps a response that we find difficult, that we are not yet so habituated to. But that may be where we are now, but it does not have to be where we'll be tomorrow or next week or next month. By training our mind, we can become the kind of person that Shantideva is describing here. Meditate in these ways, call to mind these illustrations, and imagine yourself responding skillfully. And in this process of imagination, you need to use reasoning, wisdom, to understand why they're acting in such a way, and thereby it will be very easy to see how it's completely inappropriate to respond in a similar way. So through this, doing this reflection repeatedly, the determination will come, no matter how others treat me, I will not respond in kind, because I understand that they have no freedom, but are under the control of their afflictions. Therefore, the only response that is suitable is one of love and compassion. Buddha Shakyamuni presented this, and we as students of Buddha Shakyamuni should follow his example, that the only response to enemies is not to respond in kind, as one does in the world with warfare, but the response to enemies is love, compassion, and wisdom. This is the response that Buddha Shakyamuni showed. The way to subdue our enemies, in other words, our afflictions, is love, compassion, and wisdom. And the way to help others to subdue their enemies, their afflictions, is love, compassion, and wisdom. This is the only suitable way for a student, a follower of Buddha Shakyamuni, to respond to others, no matter how they treat one.
나도 지내 몰람 자고래 서보고 되지 되니까 몰람 전에 수비 냠는다 잠니지 냠는 리고래 몰람 자고래 또 자고래서 그래. 이내다 다양 지금 영어소 시행기 견주 제야다 소생기 소소류를 내버제기 레어도 송급 제고를 받아. 야 지금 몰람 자고더니 마디도나 달래 건설이야 전시심 기와 쇼세데 몰람 자고마도 자기에서 되니까 송교 맞아봐 되나 디겨 말아봐대. 그래서네 송교 맞아봐나 안주 류를 내버지나 안주 류리아 강한테나 소소 냠내지야 고급하게 말아봐. 고급 말아봐나 되네 시행래 판도도 얘기 냠내 탈바탐지 기면고 와도 얘기 냠내지야 고급 매래. 진짜 되네서 되니까 시행기 소소를 류ben 몰람도 내버제봐나 콘주글에 전시심 귤에 끼워 상기 고마토베기 냠내지야 고급 라와 쇼스 몰람 자고래. 이내 소소를 내버기 요번에 델리아 도선제나 송급 제고래. 디나신 생기 견주제제 구마마고는 구마고제베 두자르세 견주제베나 징한주게다 파가야 말아바체 땅아 몰람 제위에서 제보 공개 되대베이나 소소 지소나리아 안지 강가 몽고태기 냥하신 보여봐. 디제 강가 몽고태나 소소기 안지 소소 강한테나 냠네 제 고합라교 말봐 디네 인자 대소리야 안제 동런 제 오래 동런 제 고야디 다디니기 소소 류르 녀바 제바다 소소류 지 마제베나 지그 제샤세 균주 제베네 파레 동런 제디 파코르 말랑 바체 안고 닝제스며 콜레야 잠니제곰 아니 그런 안에 자주셈 산요고마 투비기 냐 람냠네 주고보다 라워셔 삼바삼야다 지두시네 몰람자야다 디니 몰람자위 토네 다 콜야 아주 동런제디 뎀바 제가 두시네 파 코로마라제 세비 토네 세비 공부도 파 닝지 토네 공비 토네 아니 코로나야 아주 무인예수 지게 가소를 추 아니 지게 주인으로 시제 견제 제외나 구마마고나 구마고 소사 견제 제외나 아디 구마 구메베게 소소라랑게 방다 김제 제대고 자저 제제 세우소와 샤고로와 안디나신 소수기 류레 녀바체야디 공부다 송급제야다 소수기 변조다 데슬약 진녀바지웨나 데스 송급제 호고래 이나 송급제다디 파라 코로나 니직배 두샤 삼다제 누시기요 말해서 와다 된다라 데니기 송급제 고리나 소소야 신신랴 코로나메 샘비게 쇠보고미야다 아니 콘슬리네 닝제 샘베 잠니지 곰제 다 딤바 우인이 수기 토네 아니 공기에 라디오제제고 두시네 야디 제고래와 디마제베나다 아당가 쇠보 공부에 되디 몰람 제외 콜카르지나 제조 섬되네 디디고 말단 대야지 양원주 냠는 지야디다 우서 소소리아 강아테 라렌다 니들이야 아직 고너를 태제는 지게 마티바 차이냐 하여로다.
The Buddha set an example for us, and this is an example to follow, to respond to all harm with love, compassion, and wisdom. So to expand on this, you hear in this expression, love, compassion, and wisdom, there's no a mention there of ignorance. So we need to use our wisdom and not be foolish, not be silly. When others verbally or physically assault us or make false accusations about us, we need to, perhaps we need to respond, perhaps we need to be silent, but to know which way to respond, if at all, requires wisdom, thinking for ourselves. So this is an important point to understand, because being a follower of the Buddha doesn't mean one is stupid. That one thinks one is being compassionate or loving or wise by saying nothing or doing nothing. Sometimes that is the skillful thing to do. Sometimes it is not. So here one needs to look and see what is better in each individual circumstance. So for example, if our body is assaulted, if our life is threatened or our physical body is assaulted, the skillful thing almost certainly to do will be to defend ourselves, to protect our body. Why? This life is of great value. We need this life. We need to be healthy as well, and in order to be able to continue our process of spiritual development. So therefore, one needs to respond. But one does not need to respond with anger. The guidance of the Buddha is to respond with love, compassion, and wisdom, and that may involve defending ourselves physically, but without anger. Similarly, if someone's harming our physical possessions, we don't just smile and wish them all the best and let them break and destroy and steal. We may need to respond in some way, because depending what the situation is, these may be things that are useful. We may not want the person to create further non-virtue. So when responding with love, compassion, and wisdom, this may mean standing back. It may mean getting actively involved. This may be the wise thing to do. We need to decide there. But what's never the wise thing to do is to act with afflictions. Just love, compassion, and wisdom. And likewise, if others speak in a harsh manner directly to us or about us behind our back. For example, if someone falsely accuses us of something, we may say nothing, but then there's a very real risk. People will believe what they hear about us, particularly if they know we are not refuting that. Then we get a bad reputation, people don't trust us. It's difficult for us to have a positive impact on others. So therefore we may well need to respond, say something back, explain the situation, talking honestly and openly about the situation, explaining how it is and why what they said is mistaken. But again, the response needs to be dominated with love, compassion and wisdom. And within those three, there's no space for anger. At no point when we respond, no matter how others are speaking to us or about us or physically attacking us or our possessions, no time do we need anger or to criticize others or speak badly about others. This is never required. What's required is a response dominated by love, compassion and wisdom.
Lamshu namji debuen dang, galju namji judani, singda samba yidu gyurus.
The 18th verse. May I be a protector for the unprotected, a guide for those who travel by road, and for all those who wish to cross water, a boat, a raft, or a bridge.
Dani gui namji guen sitida, dipene giwi nyamlen jie ma xing bata, denigi 하모한디실라 파 롭티시에 안지게 개화사야 고거때 고리제제다 남된제제야 아니 탈바다 탐지 김비고 말이야 치바제 원두시네 데니기 나 데니기 규어쇼세야 데니기다 개화제 마싱에 다강아 소소가 강아세가 탑람 마싱에 하모한디실량이 롭된제제 건설이야 랍 데니기 니디 건설이야 아직 강한 세계 탑란 된제 야 탈바다 탐지 김비고 토야기 야 탑람이야 치 투버쇼 세디 데니기 이만남자 책으로 고매남죠 권세디.
May I be a protector for the unprotected. This then is the expression of the aspiration. For those without a spiritual teacher, someone to help protect them from suffering by explaining how to accumulate virtue, by explaining how to overcome problems, and in particular, helping others to attain liberation and enlightenment. Without such a protector, may I be a protector for them.
다 람슈 남지 대변세도 다 람도 슈바세도 당한 적이 이마디와는 총파 다른 부분만 미멍고 총을 줘도 되니게 즉 냠녀 유견디 이파 고별 고티제제 최종한 지어로와 될 대변세로 총파 다른 거 람냐 저제 총야 줘도 되니게 고티제제 파 최종한 될 대변 다가제 운도시네 대변스 되니게 다 발람나 파도스전 줘도겐 되길야 기메바 하모와 되길야 그런 게 미 고치지에 안 고주 유예제 권주기 안지게 된다 뭐 디기도 돼야게 오늘 되네 컨트롤 로봇이 투어쇼사야지 몰람자 책으로 왔네.
The second line, a guide for those who travel by road. So this we can call to mind images from the past where traders would travel considerable distances, perhaps in a caravan, perhaps on their own. So these were dangerous journeys. And the road or the journey ahead was largely unknown. Things weren't as easy to navigate as well as they are today. So there was a lot of danger and a lot of fear. You hear the expression, for beings in such situations, may I be their guide, may I guide them, protect them from danger and fear.
바로 조회하기 lumba shantalaya chui ban denegi 조회하기 되는 여바 있나 다 denegi 조세메디가 강아치 될래야가 주신이 주주기와 쇼서 다 혼자 조회하기 네 주나요 주의 넘버 된제 혼자야 도시는 자산디가宣泄파 제퇴하기 되는 주의 뭐 교와 쇼서데 가되 남기 주다니스.
And similarly, for those who wish to cross water, this is the third line, which for us goes the third and a bit of the fourth. For those who wish to cross water, may I be a boat for them.
다 생당 시대 생세 대한 주신 첨부되세요. 다들 가되는 뮤주세의 주신 충충을지 충충을지. 다 생세의 주신세월 주신 첨부될 거고. 제가 다 되게 계속 첨부 나를 봐 다른 분 봐 줘야게 되게 다 지조서면 되게는 줘야 미디술이야. 아니 지금 조서면 되네 강아 이유가 대강아 세야 주신 첨부 교시 아니 거기 봐 그런 되서 될래 돼. 지금 되게 주투기 교교 하셔야 돼.
So we have then a boat and a raft. So the boat, we can understand this will be something that will cross vast distances, such as oceans. And a raft, here may I even be a vessel for those wanting to cross just a regular river, but for whether the people need assistance for small endeavors or great endeavors, may I be a boat or a raft for them.
That's Samba nido gyurse samba se dayan chu gyukshu chungchu chene din ba pa joy medu dani gala samba ro cha yoro ba chu tene chilia chike samba chene ngi tene gi josa me ba kanga che de gi digelia ma samba go ngor gyurche an delia konso tin ba jo tu yage kanga dile se tu wa samba ngor gyursho se.
And similarly, for those who need to cross water, may I be even a bridge for them.
That the Chunchu Yushurupchena, Denmark Josamena, my Sambang or Yuashos. That delay chair with somebody that Chuchambuina, Samba Jimbuta, Marwa, and the Kangarwa, that the answer did meet Dumdo or Chichel, Yamadua de Merwa. Stand in Chuchambuina, that Chuchunchu to Junalpa Duchine, Mo Kurche, Monkos Patros Ravashos. That the answer Chuchimbo Jasonas in the Jasol Patro, that Chuchunju Jasonal Red Kalahaburwa, Chesan Jasuchina Paro the Drog Weban, that Delia Drusun Chembu, more Yuashos. The new Kurchen Consok Paso Troya, the Consul Ganga said to Ashos, said Duchin Malanjana.
Here, the expression of ways in which you help others overcome problems and difficulties in their life in these last two lines are, may I be a large boat, may I be a large boat for those wanting to cross great waterways, or a raft for those wanting to cross rivers of medium size, or even a bridge for those wanting to cross smaller streams.
That didn't ma Daniel Gombo Gonmio Gon Namki, and it's a Lamshun Namki, Debenda, Gaidu Namki, Judani, Sinda Samba Nidu, Juruse, Denma Shuedida, Sosorango, Consul Gam Duba, Semjala, Karkar Guguba. Meme de Giti Shiori, Denma Shuedi, Carson Warsena, Dondala Lamshun Namki, Debenda. Gaidu Namki, Judani, Sinda Samba Nidu, Juruse, that Denma Shuedi, Karshu Wars, Molam Karja Warsena, Semjala, Coronsulia, Karkar Guguba by night, dead and digura show said. Coron Karago in a dinga digura, Jurse, Consulia Padojet or show said, Your show said Molam Jawar, that Kajele, Semjan Coronsola, Karakuguena, that Samba Koguena, Samba Jura show, Drusin Chunjung Guguena, Drusin Chunjung Jura show, Drusin Chembo Guena, Drusin Chembo Jura show, that didn't but that Drusin Madina, and the Tensa Sheven, that Chimovel, Ivan Gonal, Ivan Jura, Motor Jura said, I deny that Semazero, Dinashin Dangoji. Semjella, Negapilla, Kanga Sedilla, Kare, Guguina, Dead and Dig Euro show as a Molam Jago, Recheta, Molam Jadi, Semjanam Lakam Koegi, Chedo, Koadi, Dig Euro shows Molam Jago, Recheta.
This may sound a little strange, expressing an aspiration to be a guide for those who travel by road, or a boat, a river, or a bridge for those wishing to cross water. But the meaning of this and some verses to come is that one is expressing that whatever the needs of beings may be, may I become a cause for all their necessities. So the expression that is being made here is that may I become a cause to fulfill the necessities of beings, whatever they may be. So back in these days, one only traveled by boat or by road. So here one could express it further by air or other things they need, cars, phones, whatever it may be. May I fulfill those needs within beings.
Dadi kabla nganzol ya dindiki gyursuya di nganzol nyuba yomar dada. Chisa nganzol duushine molam jade molam jaw ko orisher. Dati molam ge debu ne ane chike maho bana janshu simpiki pabi ko pang toyo du molam jebi di jebi nyuba liya anshan liya duushi gyurtuba yungo re da nekabda. Da kanga chaya du kotop tukali ya dindiki gyurshe. Pena nganzol motor car taxi gyura shos malam jene taxi ganes gyura taxi zora gi masena taxi gyura yomar wasan be samlo kourwa ina lamga meba kanga shu chi tobji galya taxi roji tu number 2 shene tin ma ju shene pha twa yosi girwa den yungurwa chisa denige daden ara zolya nyuba mena ya dadu su malam je wi digi molam ye tebu maong bana nyuba temba de cha yungurwa dene yodu kabla ya dene ki kanga thidu kabla ya dene ki roba che tu ba yungurwa da dene sada tonda la nga tu chene dene ki yoya gyudi da molam ja gore esa je da do sungore.
The verse such as this clearly is expressing the wish to fulfill needs that is beyond us to fulfill right now. We lack this capacity. But by expressing such an aspiration, one creates virtue, and this, together with all other trainings, is part of the causes that will eventually lead to us becoming Arya Bodhisattvas. And such remarkable beings, for them, these aspirations are easy to fulfill. They can emanate in whatever manner required by beings. They can emanate as a taxi and help people stranded. They can help beings in all ways. So here we express this as a mere aspiration, but with a determination, may I be able to actually fulfill this.
Ore dine za da ngaro zile diringi da ngaro zile samda ta lo jang da sung yue wen za xian yin ne ba che ba da kare che bi ne del ya pa kong ro ma la ba che ane sue ba kom an del ya kong ya pen bi ki korong ki di ki tu ye che ti chi ni ki che te da ge wa chi ma da tar ba tam chi ki bo ko ba to bi ki di ki tu bi gyu wa sho se nyo mo ba che be na da ane in ge wa sim chi ge be na del te ne ane korong ya tarpa tamchi kimbo koba tupi gyur shuwa se molam jaya ta simjan liya kanga kazi chubna kare di kanga kazi chebi kanga segi tablam kare yu kukuyi na nga dedan di tablam di gyur she konsu kanga se tubar shuwa se de dushi na molam jaya wari se dushi na da di chaya do nga su lo chaya di dushi na ya du sam tangwa di diri se nga su lo chaya kor shuwa di do na yingbo di diri tanga diri nga shuwa di.
The essence then of what we've looked at tonight is further techniques to train our mind. Especially in the first two verses, we're looking at how to train our minds so that no matter how others relate to us directly or behind our back, that the only response is one of love, compassion and wisdom, where we understand that this person is merely expressing their afflictions to us. Those afflictions which are tormenting them are being expressed through this physical, verbal behavior. They are suffering. The only response that's justified is one of kindness and tenderness and wisdom. And through this response, may I help fulfill their every need, temporary, as well as help lead them to attainment of enlightenment. And by fulfilling their needs, think here in very broad and expansive ways, as mentioned in this final verse we looked at tonight. Whatever it is that beings need, may I fulfill those. May I help them develop the causes to achieve all their desire. So thank you. Then we can conclude therefore tonight. Thank you very much.